I appreciate your taking the time to look at this little course that I've put together on New Testament Greek. You know, there's a lot of translations of the New Testament and the Old Testament out there these days. I suppose you've noticed there's all kinds of choices that you can make. There's the New King James, there's the King James, there's the NIV, there's the New Revised Standard, and so on, and the list goes on. And you know, I'm not intending to criticize any of those. It's just fine that there's all of those wonderful translations. But have you ever wondered what would it be like to be able to get behind all of those translations to the actual language that was used by the original authors of the New Testament? I know for many people that just seems like an impossible task to learn New Testament Greek and be able to read the New Testament in the original language. You assume that you've got to go to advanced theological studies or seminary or theological PhD program or something like that. And certainly that's a good place to do that kind of study. And if you have the ability to do so, then that's certainly a worthwhile endeavor. But for many people, it's simply not practical. They have the desire, they have the native ability, they just don't have the opportunity to study the Greek of the New Testament so that they can read the New Testament in its original language. Well, that's been a concern of mine for a long time. Way back when I was in college about 100 years ago, just kind of on a fluke, I happened to take New Testament Greek. I'm just going to tell you right now up front, I wasn't the greatest Greek student. If my wonderful professor, Dr. Larry Yates, could have known that eventually I'd be teaching Greek, he probably would have fainted right away because I struggled with the language. But you know what? I did come to learn it and I did come to love it, and God has been good to give me opportunity over the years to teach on many different occasions to many different students at many different skill levels the Greek of the New Testament. And what I'd like to do is make the opportunity to learn New Testament Greek available to you as well. You might think, well, this is probably only for very bright, intelligent, high IQ people, and I'm sure that's exactly what you are, but even if you find you've struggled a bit as a student, I think you'll find that this course is accessible, that it is something that if you just gauge yourself and pace yourself, you'll be able to make steady progress. My guess is that if you are a diligent student and spend maybe 15 minutes to a half an hour a day, maybe 5 days a week on this, that inside of about a year, maybe 9 months to a year, you would be at a point where you'd be pretty much ready to start reading the New Testament, at least major parts of it, and make pretty good sense out of what's going on there. That's the intent, and that's exactly what I'm trying to achieve in this course. The course is based on a little textbook that was written way back in the earlier part of the 20th century by a great scholar named J. Gresham Machen. And Machen wrote a textbook entitled New Testament Greek for Beginners. And you know what? That textbook is still around. It stood the test of time. I suppose even to this day, most of the, at least American students who read New Testament Greek probably learned it from this little textbook. Certainly other textbooks are out there. They're all fine. They're good. But this course is based on that little text. It's readily available. You can get it from Amazon. I actually include copies of chapters in this series that we develop here, but it's certainly a good idea to get your own copy of that textbook, and I'll show you how to do that as we go. The course that I'm offering has a certain cost to it. It's in 4 units, and the 4 units, as I say, would take about a year to get through if you're working at a steady pace, a reasonable pace. There's about 9 chapters per unit, and each unit would cost $20. So when it's all said and done and the dust settles, you would have paid $80, and you would have gotten a value that I guarantee you would be worth a lot more than the few dollars that you'll spend to achieve it. I want to show you exactly how to proceed, how the registration process works, and how you can proceed from there to actually start your studies of the Greek language. And to do that, I'd like to turn your attention to the website itself. So let's just take a look now at the website, and I'll show you how to walk through the registration process. When you visited my website, of course, what you did was click here, and it says Learn Greek, and this should be the page where you were able to launch the video that you're watching right now. So by clicking Video on Greek Course, you launch the video that is actually what you're observing right now. The process you'd go through from here would be, first of all, to register for the Greek course. You want to read this little paragraph I've indicated here, that the cost for this course is a total of $20 per unit, and there's 4 units. Each unit has about 9 lessons, and if you stay at it fairly diligently, I think you can probably cover about 1 lesson per week. And so with a total of about 33 lessons, it would take 33 weeks. I'm allowing a little bit of time for more focused attention at some points, and you may take a break at some point, but I'm assuming you could get the whole thing done inside of a year, and that would be the normal pace that a person might follow. So that's the cost for the course, and if you want to register for it, you would click here, Register for Greek, and that will bring you to this page, which thanks you for your interest in the Greek course, of course. You may have taken other courses from me. I've taught online courses in other contexts, and so if you have taught or if you have taken a course from me before, then you want to click here as returning student. You should have your student ID and password available. I'm going to assume for our purposes that you're a new student, and if you click there, it's going to give you this page. As you can imagine, this is a fairly standard page which will ask you for basic information. So you want to go ahead and fill this out, your name and address and so on. Right down here where it asks you for a user ID, you can come up with your own user ID, that's fine. Or if you're at a complete loss of anything, you can click ID, Create ID for me, and it will propose an ID that you can use if you wish. We need your email address. The course that you're taking is Greek, so you don't need to make any changes there. So let's go ahead and fill in some fictitious information here. So you'll notice that I filled in the name of a fictitious person, Jack J. Jones. If that happens to be your name, I apologize, but I think that's where the similarity will end. We've given an address here. I've put it in my own town of Spokane, Washington, and so on. I've proposed a user ID of Jack Joan 10 and made up an email address here. So this, by the way, is not anybody that exists that I know of, but nevertheless, that's what we'll use for purposes of illustrating this. So once you've filled this all in, then the next step is going to be to submit registration. So you click right there, and you should get back a message that says, Submission information successful. Please proceed to payment page. So if you get that message, then everything is fine. If you don't get that message, you probably will get an error message that indicates where the problem is, and you can fix that. And so you should be able to get to this submission information successful. And once you've done so, then you want to click the Pay Now, which takes you to the PayPal payment system, secure payment system, of course, where you can pay your $20. If you happen to be a Whitworth student who's registering for this course, then you can click Whitworth and it'll be billed to you separately through the institution. But assuming that that's not your situation, go ahead and click Pay Now, and that will take you then to the PayPal site. And once you get there, you should confirm. It says the Bruce W. Gore Online School of Christian Studies. It should say $20. This is for Greek unit, unit number 1. Go ahead and fill in your payment information. Once you have done so, you'll notice there's a link on the page which will take you back to my website. Once you've arrived at my website, you should be on this page, which will say you've successfully registered for Greek Unit 1. If you have any message besides that, then you should contact me immediately. Just send me an email address at bruce@brucegore.com. I don't imagine there'll be any problem. I can't imagine why there would, but you know how things go. Sometimes there are little glitches, and so if you do have a problem, please contact me. I will respond very rapidly, and we'll make sure that everything is fine. I don't expect there would be an issue along those lines. So once you're here, then you can just hit the Home button, and that's going to take you back to the home page. Now, the way you get to the Greek course is you go to Online Courses, and at this point you type in the user information that you have provided. So you recall we had Jack Joan 10 and the password that I used. And when I click on that, you'll notice and type these credentials in correctly, there's an icon that will pop up on your screen that will say Courses Currently Subscribed Greek. And so go ahead and hit the Greek button, and it'll take you to this page, which is actually the Greek course. You'll see here are the 4 units of the course. You can't skip ahead. If you were to hit Unit 3, you're going to find that it'll tell you, no, you have to start with Unit 1, so click Unit 1. Again, you have to take the lessons in order, so if you were to hit Lesson 5 too quickly, then it's going to ask you to complete Lesson 1 before proceeding. So we'll start off with Lesson 1. Each lesson is organized in 5 steps. The first step is simply an introductory word to you, so go ahead and read that over. It's very important once you're done with any given step that you say, okay, I'm done. And when you return here, you'll see there's a check mark indicating that you have completed that step. Again, you can't go ahead. You have to take these step by step. That's part of the organization of the course. So the first step is to read the introduction. The second step is to deal with downloads that are available for this lesson. In this case, for Lesson 1, there's 4 downloads. The first of these is actually a copy of the first chapter of Machen's text. Now, if you have Machen's text, then obviously you don't need to download that chapter. If it's on order and you're waiting for it, but you want to get started, then by all means, download the chapter and work from there. The next of the download options is called Keyboard Layout. So if you click on Keyboard Layout, you're going to get this image on your screen. If I expand that image just slightly, you can see that what this is a keyboard layout. And those are the letters of the Greek alphabet there. And you're going to be using, of course, those letters and this Greek alphabet to do the exercises in this course. So the purpose of this screen is simply to show you the layout of the keyboard when you're using a Greek font. So be sure to print that off and give it some thought, look it over, get familiar with it. You'll have an opportunity to practice with it, of course, before even this lesson is over. The Greek font itself is available here. So what you want to do is download this font. If you're using a PC environment, then you can download it to your desktop or download it to the fonts file in Control Panel. But one way or another, you need to get the font file into Control Panel. If you're using a Mac computer, then it should download into the appropriate file automatically. But either way, you want to download that font, and then from there you can proceed with the exercises. If you'd like to order the textbook from Amazon, then I've given you a link that will actually take you to the text that we're dealing with. Hardcover, January 1st, 1951. That's the one you want. It here I see is available for about $7, so it's a bargain, and be sure to avail yourself of that as early as possible. Once you're finished with all of this, again, say, okay, I'm done, and you'll see that you wind up with a check mark at that point. Each lesson has a video available to it. So when you click the video, you're going to get me describing what's in this chapter and kind of explaining the ins and outs of the content of the chapter. I won't watch the video at this point, but once you're done with it, again, you want to say, okay, I'm done. The fourth part of this lesson is going to be practice exercises. So this first set of exercises actually gives you an opportunity to practice with the keyboard. So I'm going to practice typing alpha, beta, gamma, delta, etc. And that's going to be the practice exercises. As you complete this set of exercises, there's going to be a progress meter down here that will gradually fill with yellow. And once you've made it to the end, you've successfully completed that project. And then when you say, okay, I'm done, you're going to come back and find a check mark. Now you'll notice I did not complete it, so that's why I don't get a check mark. I need to complete the exercises. And then there's a quiz at the end of each lesson, then you'll move on to the next lesson. We'll explain more of this after you register and you get started, but that'll at least give you an idea how the course works. And once again, I'm very hopeful that we'll see you in our Greek course. And till then, God's richest blessings on you.